Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into the sheer universal beauty of friendship. It's honestly one of the most incredible bonds we get to experience as humans, right? It's built on trust, inside jokes, and this deep emotional connection. But there's a silent, invisible force that frequently shatters even our absolute oldest friendships.
So think about it. What actually destroys our strongest relationships? When you look at the reality of it, it rarely comes down to moving away, having a crazy busy lifestyle, or even just clashing personalities. True friendships can survive all of that, no problem. No, the real culprit is something hiding quietly right inside of us.
Let's get right into section 1, the invisible relationship killer.
To really grasp how this killer works, we kind of need to toss out our standard definition of the word ego. We usually picture this loud, chest-pumping arrogance, right? But in a friendship, the ego is way quieter. It's simply that burning need to always be right. It's suddenly losing the ability to just say, hey, I'm sorry. Or, and this is the dangerous one, it's that stubborn expectation that your friend should just know why you're hurt without you having to say a single word.
Which leads us to section 2, the silent standoff.
Picture two really close friends, let's call them Sarah and Mark, who just had a brutal argument. Both of them are hurting, and crucially, both are 100% convinced they're right. So days pass. Both are just sitting there, waiting for the other to call first. Then weeks turn into months. The silence just grows and grows, until eventually, the whole friendship just fades away. And the absolute tragedy here? Relationships rarely end because people stop caring. They end because people care deeply, but are literally just too proud to show it.
Moving on to section 3, anatomy of the ego.
What's actually happening in our heads when we pick our pride over our friend? Just listen to the difference in your internal voices. The rigid, protective voice of the ego is always defensive, saying, well, why should I apologize first? But the empathetic, long-term view of true friendship asks a much, much better question. Do I value being right more than I value this person?
Emotional maturity, though, takes a totally different route. While the ego just sits there stewing in resentment, demanding the other person make the first move, maturity actively steps up to bridge the gap. It completely acknowledges the pain. Your feelings are valid, for sure, but it chooses communication over creating a permanent, silent divide.
Let's jump to section 4. Humility is not weakness.
Now, we absolutely need to make a quick pivot here, because dropping your ego does not mean dropping your self-respect. There is a massive difference between humility and weakness. Letting go of ego does not mean letting someone disrespect you. It doesn't mean constantly apologizing when you did nothing wrong. And it certainly doesn't mean chasing after people who manipulate you. You never, ever have to destroy your own dignity to keep a connection.
A genuinely healthy friendship strikes this perfect balance between self-respect and emotional maturity. Honestly, the strongest friendships aren't the ones where nobody disagrees. That's basically impossible anyway. They're the ones where two people can strongly disagree without trying to tear each other down. They forgive, and they do it without keeping a permanent scorecard.
This brings us to section 5, peace versus pride.
Here's a fundamental question you've got to ask yourself about any relationship. Are you protecting your peace, or are you just protecting your pride? Walking away from someone who constantly criticizes you or takes advantage of you, that's protecting your peace. That's self-respect. But creating distance from someone you genuinely love just because you absolutely refuse to make the first move, well, that is simply pride.
We end up losing these beautiful connections because we fall into a classic trap set by the ego, the mind-reading trap. We desperately want our friends to magically understand our silence and recognize our pain without us uttering a single word. But relationships simply cannot survive on assumptions. They just can't.
Let's hit section 6, building bridges, not walls.
So how do we actually fix this? Well, if ego burns the bridge, communication rebuilds it. Learning to look at someone and say, I may not agree with you, but I still respect you, shows incredible emotional strength. It proves to your friend that a disagreement doesn't suddenly mean you don't care about them anymore. It keeps the foundation totally solid, even when you don't see eye to eye. Or, try something like this. I was hurt, but I really want to understand what happened. This is such a beautiful way to communicate. By expressing your pain, but staying completely open to their side of the story, you instantly invite connection. You stop the whole thing from turning into this toxic competition of who was more wrong.
Zoom out for a second and think about the end of your life. When you look back, you're going to realize that almost no argument was worth losing the people you loved. Putting the phrase, our relationship is more important than this argument into practice, That perfectly captures that long-term wisdom right here in the present moment.
Now, a quick reality check. All of this bridge building absolutely must be mutual. This isn't about you always being the one who folds. If only one person is doing all the apologizing, all the forgiving, and all the heavy emotional lifting, the relationship just becomes exhausting. True friendship is a two-way street.
It really all boils down to this one clear choice. Ego builds walls, keeps a scorecard, and demands a victory. True friendship, on the other hand, builds bridges, seeks genuine understanding, and prioritizes connection above all else. You have to actively decide which of these two paths you're going to walk with the people you care about.
If you're sitting in a silent standoff right now, sometimes the absolute most powerful, transformative thing you can do for a fractured friendship is to put the ego aside, grab your phone, and just send a simple, vulnerable text. I miss you. Let's talk.
We trick ourselves into believing that strength means standing our ground no matter what, being this immovable stone wall. But honestly, that's just a facade. True emotional strength is having the profound courage to soften your heart exactly when your ego is screaming at you to harden it. I want to leave you with this final, lingering thought. The next time you find yourself in a standoff, prioritizing winning an argument above absolutely everything else, ask yourself what you might actually be losing. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this helps you build stronger, more resilient bridges in your own life.